turn the microphone on.
Oh, yeah, that's probably smart.
Oh, wait. Nope.
No.
Not that microphone.
Oh.
That microphone.
That
All
microphone.
right, welcome everybody to the SportsCast. How are y'all doing this
Premier
afternoon?
League.
Yeah, you might want to scoot over there just so you can see the fire.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Welcome
That's
to
the
the
most
SportsCast.
important shot of the whole thing.
It's the best. Yeah, it's our one little bit of set decoration. Welcome to the SportsCast, everybody. I am a very sniffly and sick Ben, and let me nameplate. And this is my co-host Granville Spaceman Sexton.
Spaceman. Okay.
Yeah.
Now humor me, Ben. Where does Spaceman come from?
Spaceman comes from baseball. There was a pitcher for the Red Sox for a number of years named Bill Spaceman Lee.
Okay.
And he was named Spaceman because he had a lot of far out opinions on stuff.
Oh, I thought it'd be like Moonshot or something.
No, yeah,
Dang.
no. He was a crazy man. But
Okay.
anyway, welcome to the SportsCast.
I'm also very sunburnt, if you have not been able to tell.
If you hadn't pointed it out, I don't think people would have noticed. But
Oh, yeah.
either way, welcome to the SportsCast. On today's show, we have some very important discussions to talk about today. First things first, we have Week 3 recap of the USF, or not Week 3, it feels like Week 3, Week 2 recap of the USFL.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we were going to talk about a poll that just came out, or very early poll for college football, top 25 by ESPN, correct?
Yep.
And also, in our most important section of the day, it will be the... Oh, I didn't notice the date is wrong up there. Oh, well,
That's funny.
If you didn't notice that we're wearing the same shirts in the intro, it's because we just finished up the intro right before the broadcast, so I hadn't time to fix up any of this stuff. But last topic for the show today will be the NFL draft, which is, I believe, begins Thursday of this week, Thursday or Friday of this week. So, so we'll have a little bit of a draft discussion. But first things first, USFL Week 3 recap. Can you hand me my phone? Or I can try to pull it up on here and give this a
Do we
shot.
have it on here?
I can give it a shot.
I will entertain.
We're not going to attempt that at the moment. Wait.
Maybe we shouldn't.
Oh, yeah, we're just going to look it up on the phones. If we...
Breaking the fourth wall a little bit there.
Right, we will discuss it using the phones here. So week 4, or week 2.
We're all over the place.
Week 2 USFL. USFL scores. Let me look it up real quick. Or not NFL scores. USFL scores. Sorry, we put all our effort into the intro this week. So, I had watched most of the games this week. The one game I did not see any of was the Pittsburgh-Philadelphia game. The other games this week, I had watched most of them. Granville was sitting on his phone while the Birmingham game was on.
I watched
yesterday.
most of it.
No, you didn't. You were on your phone the whole time.
I watched the important bits. I was busy.
And then...
I had important stuff going on.
But
I have a life
today. But yeah, unlike me, I sit around all day watching USFL games. So, first things first, we'll start from the beginning and work our way to the present. So the first game of the week was on Friday. It was the Michigan Panthers versus the New Jersey Generals. New Jersey ends up getting the win in this game, 10-6.
Tony the Tiger. Hello, Tony. Is Tony the Tiger able? Yeah, I bet Tony the Tiger is able.
But either way, week 1 or 10-6. It was not an impressive game by any means by anybody on the team. Hello, Abel. Welcome back. Nah,
it was a pretty bad game.
Yeah, it was a very bad game.
As a Michigan Panthers fan, I'm a little disappointed.
Yes. If I could pull up the stats real quick, I would try to pull up the stats.
It's probably a good thing,
It
Abel.
might blow up my my phone looking at these stats.
I have them.
So Shea Patterson, quarterback for the Panthers. The reason that you are a Panthers fan.
Correct.
Went 14.
And that it's in Michigan.
14 for 19.
In Michigan.
48% completions, 4.3 yard average, no touchdowns, no interceptions. A QBR 60. And then in the on the other side, Luis Perez played a solid game, or a relatively solid game. 13 for 19, about 70% completion percentage, at a 5.1 yard average, which isn't real great, and an interception. And DeAndre Johnson went 5 for 6.
He had an okay game
with 50 yards and.
How was his rushing stats?
He ran 10 times for 27 yards. Really,
it's kind of mediocre.
Yeah, so the way I saw it, or the way I watched most of the game, I watched a lot of the second half. I watched Shea Patterson could not throw the ball. The Panthers couldn't get any offense going.
Panthers are definitely the worst team of the league.
Obviously, yeah. And then and New Jersey looked decent in their first game versus whoever they played. I can't even remember. Oh, Birmingham last week. They looked decent, but this week they didn't let Perez throw downfield, really any, and I think a lot of the problems with the the Generals' offense is their two quarterback system.
Yeah. In
the history of football, except for maybe on the high school level, because I know the guy and I know from church, Luke Pettit. He made the state championship game in a two quarterback system. But unless you're on a high school level, and any level besides that, two quarterback. It's a quote attributed to John Madden, I believe, that says, "If you have two quarterbacks, you have none," meaning that you can't establish a rhythm of quarterback play if you're constantly switching out your quarterbacks. None of them get into a rhythm. It makes them both play worse. So, unfortunately, that's where the Generals are at. Mike Riley will not make a choice because, and in the end, it's kind of, he stumbled into this situation because he didn't want Luis Perez originally. Perez wasn't on the roster. And DeAndre Johnson is a running back, or a runner first.
Right.
And they didn't have a chance, to get him acquainted into passing better because
who was the original quarterback?
It was
that they had to cut.
Let me look.
For some context here, Luis Perez was not on the team originally. Instead, they had a different quarterback as their first-round draft pick in the quarterback rounds. Unfortunately, something happened. Ben Holmes got injured.
Yeah, I think he broke his leg or some major injury that would have kept him out for a longer period of time, so they dropped him and replaced him with Luis Perez.
Right.
And Perez, we've talked about before, or we talked about last week, Perez is a good quarterback. He has time in various spring leagues, whether it be the AAF or the XFL. He's always gone in and played well.
Right.
But Perez isn't the biggest name out there. Even in this league, he's not the biggest name.
No.
And
honestly, in spring league football, I think Perez has as big of a name as you're going to get.
At this point, yeah. But Mike Riley and his coaching staff do not trust Perez to be the full-time quarterback.
Which is dumb, in my opinion.
Well, and you do lose something. Perez isn't a runner, and a running quarterback is good to have. But
let's get a follower check. All right, not.
What do you guys think of Cooper Kupp? Oh, he's amazing. Cooper Kupp is one of the...
We have two live listeners out there.
Everybody. But
that's two more than last week.
You don't need to constantly be checking.
It's a good update in my opinion. We should add a we should learn how to do that. We should add a
viewer counter up there. All right, well, we'll look into it. But Cooper Kupp, great receiver. I've always liked Cooper Kupp. I named my fantasy team after Cooper Kupp a couple of years back when we won. It was the Cooper Troop. I ended up dropping Cooper Kupp, I think, because that was last year before he got, he was at an off year with Goff before Stafford.
Yeah.
But
it's never gone well with me. I've not had a good fantasy football team. I keep getting cheated, man. I keep getting cheated. I went 10-2 in a league once. And then the 1 week I was averaging 120 points a game. We get into the playoffs, I score 40 points. It's disappointing, man.
Same. That's how I was. Last year in the COVID league.
Yeah.
I finished first place in the league. Was averaging around 100 points a game, and I lost the first round.
Yeah.
But either way, speaking of quarterback situations that are hard to solve, the Michigan Panthers.
You're not going to solve this one.
No, you're not going to solve it because the Michigan Panthers have Shea Patterson, who
He can be a good quarterback at his best.
At his best, he's a serviceable quarterback, but
I think he could be
he's not
amazing
there
quarterback if he played at his best.
often. He's not there nearly enough to be considered.
He threw the game away, and then he threw them back into the game, and then he threw the game away.
Yeah, Patterson has a habit of doing that. And he's also very turnover prone. At least in this league, he has been incredibly turnover prone. But then you look at the backup quarterback, and it's Paxton Lynch, who is, surprisingly enough, even more turnover prone than Shea Patterson. So,
honestly, I don't think it's a terrible pick to I love Shea Patterson. I think he's a great guy. As a Michigan fan, I'm so sick and tired of watching him play. I sincerely wish that Shea Patterson was one of the best players in the league.
Again.
Yeah.
But
I sincerely wish that Shea was one of the best players in the league. I think that would be awesome.
But he's not.
He's not. I think it would be the move to maybe put in Paxton Lynch.
I mean, you're not really hurting yourself if you do that, but Paxton Lynch last week, when they did put him in, almost immediately he started throwing interceptions. So,
you just can't win. You just can't win. And get this. You have Jeff Fisher as your head coach.
On paper, Jeff Fisher is the best coach in this league.
He really is.
But
he just sucks. I feel like he plays... You know how some people play to their competition?
Yeah, Jeff Fisher plays down to his competition.
Yeah, he is always one step below. Yeah.
Yeah, like with the Titans. Do you think it was smart for Coach K to retire this year? I mean, he was going to have to do it at some point, so...
I think this was a good year to do it.
Might as well, at least, because, I mean, I don't know what their situation looks like going into next year, but at some point you're going to have to make a retirement, and he's getting up there. He's been there, 40 years? Good enough time to hang it up.
Yeah. And his grandson is on the roster right now.
Oh, I might have stuck around until he graduated, but at that point...
I don't know if he is graduating this year or not, though.
Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Either way. But, next game, USFL. And the guy who might be considered the best coach in the USFL, at least so far, is Skip Holtz with his Philadelphia Stars versus the Pittsburgh Maulers. And after last week with the Pittsburgh Maulers, we were thinking that they were going to be the worst team in the league, and we thought that they're going to have the worst head coach in the league. But this week, they actually played remarkably well. Again, looking at the box score on that, Josh Love. Jordan Love is back up in Green Bay at the moment. Josh Love threw almost 40 times, and this is because they go from a team in the Pittsburgh Maulers last week that was like, we're gonna run, the two rushes in the pass.
Right.
They were doing like 3 rushes and turning over.
The way they were doing.
Yeah, they absolutely terrible coaching last week. Again, this is Coach Wilson, Kirby Wilson. This is his first head coaching job, and this is technically his first coordinating job too. So, it was a defensive coordinator back in the early '90s, but this is his first time as a really high level coach in a league.
Yeah.
And there is going to be some.
Is this the guy who came from being a
running backs coach?
Yeah.
For forever in the NFL. Yeah.
Okay.
But he.
So he's okay.
Last week he leaned into his running back coach tendencies and ran the ball a billion times. But this week they actually threw the ball a lot. And Josh Love played decently well. And I'm not going to say great, but decently well. 21 of 39, a little bit over 50% completion percentage, for 236 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks.
Right.
And I think he ended up throwing a pick, or they were marching, because I don't know if I said the final score or not. The Philadelphia Stars win that game 30-23. This is at the time, it was the highest scoring game in the league.
Right. And
Josh Love plays good. Rushing, Groshek for the Maulers, led their team with 77 yards on the ground. So, good rushing attack.
You know,
It's fairly decent. I mean, if you throw it
It's
40
gonna be-
times, yeah.
yeah.
But,
And let's think here I feel like, especially in a league like this, if you can establish a run game, then you probably can win in any game. Because so far it's been a really defensive dominant league so far. Your defense is probably going to step up for you. As we've seen so far this league, defensive lines are completely obliterating offensive lines repetitively.
repeatedly.
Both work. They're two different words.
Whatever.
So you're gonna see that if you this stupid autofocus, you're gonna see that if you can establish a run game that wears down that defensive line, you're just gonna win probably.
Yeah.
And this is a league where if you get into the teens, you're probably.
We'll talk about that a little bit in the Breakers game,
Right.
That the last game of the week. But on the other side, Philadelphia, their quarterback Brian Scott also could be in the argument for breakout player of the USFL so far, and he's definitely in the top half of quarterbacks in this league so far. 26 of 36, 72% completion percentage. For 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick, averaging 7.6 yards an attempt.
That is definitely a really great game.
Yeah. Didn't have a lot on the ground, but Brian Scott led him through the air and led him to a win in that case.
You said 36 passes?
36 passes total, at 7.6 yards a clip.
Pretty pass-heavy game, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I mean, that's also a thing that this league, when they can develop their quarterbacks and make it more of a pass-heavy league, that will help draw in eyes to the product.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot to say about it because I didn't watch this game, but it was definitely surprising looking at the box score and seeing Philadelphia played well last week. They lost in a close game, and Pittsburgh looked terrible last week, but now Pittsburgh's starting to look a little bit better. I'm sorry, I'm already sniffling here. I've had a cold the last week, so it's not real fun. But on Reddit, they already have a great nickname for the Steelers the Pittsburgh defense. Yeah, they call it the Rusty Curtain as opposed to the Iron or the Steel Curtain.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, because I think that's a great name for them. But their defense is fairly decent.
Yeah.
Even in they played Pittsburgh or Panthers last. Wait, no, they didn't. They didn't. Who did they play last week?
I think their game got canceled.
No, they didn't.
No, they moved it.
They played Tampa. That was it. They played Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And yeah, both teams look bad this week. And we'll talk more about Tampa Bay, but I think they might be paper tigers at this point. But anyway, next game, one I did see. One me and Granville watched a little bit together. Baltimore Stallions versus Houston Gamblers. Ended up. This is now the highest scoring game. Cross country isn't a sport. Thank you. I don't think it is either, but
he's wrong. But that's okay. It's okay because you can say what you want, and I can get my college paid for. So tomato.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't think we should be arguing with the chat too much. The Stallions, Birmingham Stallions, home team of the league, a professional home team, gets the win versus the Houston Gamblers 33-28 on Saturday night. And this game was a game that came down to the wire, too. It is probably, along with that Pittsburgh game that we just talked about, the best football games that we've seen in the USFL so far in just 2 weeks. Again, looking at least quarterback box scores, because quarterback play, we don't know much about any other kind of play, but quarterback play, especially in a league like this, is very important. So how are the quarterbacks doing? Jamar Smith for Birmingham went 20 for 30, 20 out of 30, 60 or 2/3, obviously. 229 yards at 7.8 yards an attempt, 7.6 yards an attempt, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. And then on the other side, it was a little bit more iffy. Clayton Thorson played most of the game for Birmingham. for the Gamblers.
Mm-hmm.
He 13 for 27, 141 yards, 5.2 yards an attempt with 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions.
Right.
Jamar Smith, another breakout candidate of a player, especially their receivers for the Stallions. Michael.
Insane.
What's his name? Michael Williams.
There's Mitchell.
Marion Williams led the team. Mitchell is good.
I like Mitchell a lot. I think Mitchell's route running.
Yeah, Osiris
fantastic.
Mitchell. Yeah. Osiris Mitchell is definitely a guy to look out for on the Birmingham
Yeah.
receiving.
I think he might be a player that could make it in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely. 8 catches, he's had 8 catches so far this season for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's doing really good.
Yeah. No, he's definitely up there for. I'd say he's in the conversation. If he has more games like that, offensive player of the year. They don't give it to a quarterback,
which they probably will. But
right, it just depends. If they give the MVP to the quarterback, I'd say you give offensive player of the year to a wide receiver. Or
that could work too.
Yeah,
kind of like how you defensive player of the year is the best defensive player that because they're not going to be in the conversation for MVP usually.
Because Cooper Kupp won offensive player of the year.
Yeah, because you got to give it to a quarterback because most important position on the football field.
Right.
Clayton Thorson.
Most valuable, have you?
Yeah, exactly. Clayton Thorson. Not good. But Thorson.
I wish they respected him more. If they had more confidence in Thorson, then I don't think he would have played that bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because what they did was Thorson was playing meh. Thorson is a lot like Shea Patterson, and he played very Shea Patterson game, where Thorson will make a lot of mistakes. But when he makes a good play, he looks like a world beater. Yeah. He looks like that's a lot of the guys in this league are they make a great play. Yeah, high ceiling, very low floor.
Very raw talent.
And Thorson is definitely on that list. Thorson 100%. Made a couple of really great throws in this game. Yeah. He had like a 40-yard touchdown pass right over the middle. Beautiful. In a league that you don't see a lot of downfield passing so far because the quarterbacks are still kind of getting used to it. Right. Thorson made some great plays, but also Thorson threw 3 picks, and 2 of them were high, like way up here, rockets that went through the receiver's hands and into a tip drill into the arms.
And I will say it's unlucky that they got picked, but they were bad throws.
Mm-hmm. And Thorson ended up doing that on the last drive of the game too, when the Gamblers were going down the field to score, and he threw the game away there. But again, Birmingham is a good-looking team. They could definitely make some noise in the playoffs here, especially they're going to be having home field advantage throughout the season. They'll be the only team with home field advantage throughout the season. It could definitely look like a contender for the South Division title.
Absolutely.
And then last game we'll talk about here is the New Orleans Breakers, finished up a couple hours ago. New Orleans Breakers versus Tampa Bay Bandits. New Orleans completely dominates the Breakers. Or New Orleans is the Breakers. They completely dominate the Bandits 34-3. Looking at stats here, again, quarterback stats. Kyle Sloter, who I've now decided to call Kyle Goater. He was 25 of 39, 65% completion percentage, 266 yards, so he's up there for passing yards for this week, and which is a 7-ish yard average, and 2 touchdowns with no interceptions. Right. And he did all this with a pulled groin, too. He pulled his groin.
He's goated.
Yeah, in the game. And he had his shoulder injury last week, and his hand or his wrist hurt because he landed on it funny last week. So he was completely injured, but he's still balled out for
just like that.
And then also Logan Ellis. Or not Logan Ellis. That's the guy we know from. No, Jordan Ellis. Well, and also they have their other running back is named Logan. It's T.J. Logan and Jordan Ellis. Jordan Ellis ran 21 times for 64 yards, and T.J. Logan ended up running for 43 yards. So overall, a relatively balanced attack, and they really took the foot off the gas in the second half because they were up 21-3 at the half.
Right.
And On the other side, the Bandits, Jordan Teamu did not play a good game today, and neither did the Brady White, who they were subbing in for Teamu.
Right.
Teamu,
I thought Brady White and Jordan Teamu would do a lot better.
Teamu, 8 for 18 for 62 yards at 3.4 yards per attempt with a pick.
Ooh, that's
and
good.
then Brady White went 3 for 10 for 3.4 yards an attempt.
Did even worse.
And a pick.
Right.
And there's one thing that
It's complete stop.
Well, yeah, and the one thing that...
And what team is this again?
Tampa Bay Bandits.
This is either a showing of a really great team that's going to win.
Win
it all.
The Breakers, yeah.
Yeah. Or it's an absolutely terrible team.
Well, here's the one thing I saw. So, they were talking about it at the very beginning of the game. It's not Kevin Sumlin. Who's the coach? The coach of the Bandits, whose name escapes me at the moment. He drafted his players based off of how big they were, that they went to big colleges, and that they had NFL experience. And Larry Fedora, my head coach for the Breakers, drafted based on speed, athleticism, and stamina. So what they did for the first 2 drives of the game, and they went right down the field, and they played a no-huddle offense. And literally before the first drive was over, the stat was the Tampa Bay Bandits defensive line, their average weight was 290 versus the rest of the league's average was 270 for the offensive or defensive line. So these are big boys. They were gassed before they hit half of the midfield on that first drive. They could not stand up.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they just did up tempo, and the Tampa's defense could not stop them for like 3 drives in a row. The only time they didn't score during that first bit of the game, first half of the game, was when the kicker missed a field goal, and then they had another field goal blocked. But Tampa Bay was not even out coached. It was just they found their weakness. They found the weakness of the team, and I'm afraid for Tampa Bay that they're going to exploit this for the rest of the season.
Yeah. To have such a what is it? A kink in the chain armor.
Yeah.
Exposed this early is detrimental to a team.
Mm-hmm. And then another problem with that was, also New Orleans has one of the best defenses in the league. Devin Bellamy was the first defensive player off the board, and he had 3 sacks last week, and I think he had a couple more this week. But they were a swarming defense. So not only were they getting gassed because they were on the field, or they were, constantly running when they were on the field, but the Breakers defense swallowed up Teamu.
Right.
And the defense was back on the field again, 3 and out. Mm-hmm. So it was a brutal dismantling of Tampa Bay by the Breakers this week. Yeah. So, not bragging or anything, but
I mean, it's true.
Yeah, it was an absolute slaughtering by Sloter.
I can't wait to watch Michigan Panthers versus the Breakers.
I think that game...
It's going to be one game, all right.
Well, next Saturday is actually going to be a really interesting matchup between the Breakers and the Stallions.
Oh, okay.
So the Stallions, they'll have the home field advantage, and they have
that'll be a really good chance to see who the best team in the league is.
Well, even more specifically, this will be very important for the South Division because these two, basically, whoever wins this game I think they play 2 games apiece in the South Division, but I'm not 100% sure. Mm-hmm. But if this game will help determine the South Division title, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Philly, I can't.
So, folks.
Yeah, sorry. Again, this cold, I apologize, but
we don't forgive you.
Yeah, I don't forgive myself.
Your stupid autoimmune system is ruining our show.
Exactly, but what was I going to say? Philadelphia, the Stars, look like they're going to win the North.
Yeah.
I think they're probably going to walk away with the North at this point.
Michigan Panthers, don't give up. Don't give
know,
up.
But
when we beat the Breakers,
but the South Division is open for open. It could go between New Orleans. It could go to Birmingham, but I don't think it's going to go to either Houston or.
There's 2 viewers out there.
I don't think it's going to go to either Houston or Tampa Bay, but you don't know. If Thorson gets a rhythm going, if they can develop Thorson a bit, Houston looks like a team that could be dangerous going down later on. Tampa Bay, they have Jordan Ta'amu. Ta'amu is a good quarterback, or he's shown that he can be a good quarterback.
Yeah.
There could always be something that comes up with that, but I don't know. I think right now, week 2, we're a fifth of the way through the season, but it's gonna be Philadelphia versus either Birmingham or New Orleans in the title game.
Yeah.
But you don't know if any of you all are out there who are watching the USFL along with us. Put your comments in. Tell us who you think. A fifth of the way in. But
just saying, Michigan Panthers.
Probably not. If they can get a better quarterback, maybe. But
we're gonna sign Baker Mayfield.
Hey, I feel happy to let you all have Baker Mayfield.
You know what I have heard, and this could lead into the draft if you want to talk about that.
Okay.
You know what I have heard? Panthers for Baker Mayfield.
That could be interesting
and
for the Panthers.
This is the thought process. If the Panthers draft an offensive lineman in the first round, they either have it for Darnold or they have it for Mayfield. I think that's the move. I think you draft, and in that case, that means you don't draft a quarterback. Because if you want, do you have a graphic for the?
No, I don't.
Okay, so CBS Sports released a mock draft.
I'll pull it up here real quick.
That would be smart. They have Aiden Hutchinson going number 1. I can't exactly remember who's going number 2.
I got it here.
They have Gardner as number 3.
Oh wait, this is different. This is Okay, let's go with this one here, because I know you'll be more happy with this one. So number 1 overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars is Akeem Ekwonu.
That's it. Yeah.
From NC State, he's an offensive lineman, probably a tackle, I would guess. If you're going to be drafting him first overall.
Yeah.
Then number 2, to Detroit, Aiden Hutchinson from the University of Michigan.
That's a great pick, in my opinion. That's a great pick. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If the Lions draft Aiden Hutchinson, I will become a Lions fan for at least the next decade. I'll buy some sort of Lion merchandise. I'm also trying to get some Michigan Panthers merchandise. Hopefully some Shea Patterson jerseys, and but if that's not true, then we're gonna have a segment next week. So make sure you email. Ask Gran and Ben.
Ask Gran and Ben. Not Ben and Gran.
Not Ben and Gran.
Gran and Ben.
Gran and Ben. Ask Gran and Ben at gmail.com. Send in your offers of why I should be a fan of your NFL football team. I realize that's a little backwards the way I said that. The National Football League football team fan. But send in a free agency offer of why I should become a fan of your team. And if I like it, then I'll sign a contract.
Signed in blood.
Right. And we'll figure it out. And so, yeah. If not, hopefully Aiden Hutchinson just goes there to begin with. We have a few offers on the table. I won't disclose anything yet. I want to save it for the segment. We obviously know here.
You gotta be a Browns fan.
He's gonna be a primary recruiter for the Browns.
The old Cleveland Browns.
And we'll see about that one. If I have no other enticing offers on the table, then we'll have to see.
Number 3, Trayvon Walker, defensive lineman from Georgia, going to the Texans.
Okay.
So that's an interior defensive lineman there.
I don't think that's a bad pick. I don't think it's necessarily the pick that the Texans need, though. I like the idea of focusing on your front 7. Mm-hmm. I think it's really important to get a good defensive lineman. I would not have been against going for an offensive lineman, though, with their draft pick.
Yeah, I think you win football games in the trenches. Defensive line and offensive line.
Yeah.
And in the modern NFL, you kind of need that offensive line to be a little bit better before you can focus on the defense.
Right. I will say, I don't know what the offensive line... I don't know what the depth is at offensive lineman this year. So with Okwonu, correct?
Yeah, Okwonu.
Okwonu gone already. I don't know if there's someone else who can just step up.
There's the next guy that gets drafted to the Jets. Is the guy who's been up there. I would almost put him ahead of
Okwonu.
Well, definitely Okwonu, but I would also put him ahead of Aiden Hutchinson, even potentially. That's Kayvon Thibodeau.
Really?
From
that's
Oregon.
a defensive lineman, though.
Exactly. I'm saying...
You want him to be drafted instead of Trayvon Walker.
Potentially, yeah.
I disagree with that.
No, here's my thinking.
Disagree.
Maybe this is as a Browns fan, and we've got Myles Garrett.
Right.
He was a great edge threat.
Yeah.
And I think in the modern NFL, you want pass rushing. You can focus. You don't need as much a bigger. Well, I mean, you do still, but that's not as high on the list. You want a big guy in the middle to stop the run, or you want 2 big guys in the middle to stop the run. But more important than that, in the modern NFL, is an edge rushing guy who's going to get to the quarterback because there's going to be more passes than runs in the league.
Yeah.
So you get a Aiden Hutchinson, you get a Thibodeau.
I don't think Thibodeau's the move. I do think that Aiden Hutchinson is a better pass rusher than Thibodeau, though. Especially with this Ohio State game on his resume. He's got 3 sacks against one of the best offensive lines, the best passing offense in the nation. I think that fits the role. Thibodeau did not have a very impressive combine. Aiden Hutchinson had a very impressive combine. I think Hutchinson deserves, and this is why many places have Hutchinson going number 1 overall. I think he is the most talented player in this draft. When it comes to the front 7. There's definitely people out there with higher ceilings, and we'll get to one of those guys from Liberty pretty soon.
It's going to be a little bit, but...
Yeah. Oh, really?
The way that this mock draft has it.
Oh, okay.
We'll just go through the first 10 picks just because we... and then I'll talk about the Browns pick if I can... wait, we didn't even have a first-round pick this year because we traded it for somebody. No, we traded it for Deshaun Watson.
That's right.
Probably. Because I think we only spent a 4th-round pick on Amari Cooper, so...
Wow. That's a cheap pickup for a really great player.
Yeah. Anyway, next up, 5th overall from the University of Alabama to the New York Giants. My brain is going.
New Orleans Giants.
To the New Orleans Giants. To the New York Giants, that is Evan Neal, lineman from Alabama. You can't go wrong with getting a lineman.
Evan Neal is a good pick.
And put some line in front of Danny Duggs. Oh, I can't even talk.
My gosh.
Yeah. I need to pull my nose really bad. Here, talk for a second.
Alright, but if you blow your nose...
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you need Danny Dimes definitely needs some line help there. So, really, any team could always get used to get a little bit better on the line. So good pickup for them. Should be.
Yeah.
They can't make any promises on that. Number 6, Charles Cross. Charles Cross, offensive lineman from Mississippi State, to the Panthers, which is what you were talking about earlier. They go offensive linemen in the first pick. They can go for a Baker Mayfield or a Jimmy Garoppolo. But
I'd go for Mayfield over Garoppolo for sure.
Well, also you'll have Seattle potentially also looking for.
Right.
Oh, well, never mind, they're not because we'll talk about that in a second. But 7, a trade from Chicago. The New York Giants select Amon Gardner, as cornerback from Cincinnati.
Okay. I will. Gardner is one of the best players in this draft. I'm kind of surprised that they have him in this mock draft falling so far. I think Gardner is a top 3 pick personally. He has proved himself as the best cornerback in the NCAA. He stacked up amazingly against corners at Alabama when they played. He just, the rest of his team wasn't there. But Gardner definitely had a really great play against who was it? Who was the number 1 wide receiver at Bama this year?
I don't know.
Well, there was a really great matchup between Gardner and the best wide receiver and the CFP, and Gardner won in my opinion, hands down. I think he's proven himself. And if you have a wide receiver from Alabama, let's be real here for a moment, they're going to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. It's just how it's been.
And Garoppolo, I think, is a little underrated. I don't get the Jimmy G hate. He's a winner.
He was very good with the Patriots when he was there.
And he played well with the
He did very good in the first year or two with the Niners. This year, I think it's shown a more realistic side of him.
The problem with this year with Jimmy Garoppolo was they didn't have a running attack.
Right.
Raheem Morris. Yeah, they had Debo, but you don't have Raheem Morissette. He was out literally the first game of the week.
It's made of paper.
Seriously, but
made of glass.
Yeah, because I drafted him.
Oh no!
It wasn't me.
It was nobody actually.
I'm glad it went that way instead of the other way.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Oh no, you probably all saw my terrific sunburn. How do you put this up?
Give me a second. Let me do it.
Oh no, I got it.
Yeah.
This is Bush League, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bush League.
I know, we need to eventually...
Oh, no. That's way too... Oh, my gosh. We're playing a dangerous game here.
Slowly lean back.
There's no way it's going to stand up. If you don't... So, imagine this is my hand. And imagine this is like a 90-degree angle. Well, it just fell backwards, right? Well, now, instead of sitting up straight, I cannot position my hand. Instead of sitting up straight, it's sitting like this. But it's staying up.
Next time when it falls, just you have to lunge for it. All right.
No sudden movements. Oh, no way.
All right. Next up. Garrett Wilson, wide receiver from Ohio State.
Okay. That's a good pick.
Atlanta Falcons. Number 8.
I don't like that pick from Atlanta.
They need weapons now.
They do.
They need weapons now more than ever because you just lost Matthew Ryan.
Right. Who was it that they signed? They have a quarterback now. Is it Carson Wentz?
No,
Carson Wentz is in
Washington.
Yeah.
Let me see.
They did get a quarterback. It's not a groundbreaking.
Oh, Mariota.
Oh, okay. If you can, all right, I'll credit that a little bit. If you can get,
it's either him or Felipe Franks.
Yeah, I'd say go with Felipe. If Mariota plays well, and you have an explosive wide receiver like that, you could have.
And you still have Kyle Pitts,
right? And you have what's your running back? I don't believe they have a bad running back situation. I will say the team was bad last.
Oh, yeah.
It was pitiful, and I don't think that's Matt Ryan's fault.
Cordell Patterson is the name that comes up on here.
Cordell's not a bad running back, in my opinion.
He's a wide receiver.
I think they're playing him at running back, though, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, you could use a running back. You have a terrible defense.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible defense. So I'm not sure if you should use your first-round draft pick. I mean,
well, you already lose a lot of the main defensive linemen.
Right.
They're all gone.
Ahmad Gardner's gone.
Unless there's somebody out there
Sauce
really.
is already gone.
Yeah, but
if Sauce falls that far, get Gardner. Just get him. If he doesn't, get some defensive player. There's got to be someone out there.
Well, you think about it as, I think in this position.
Trade up?
No, here's what you do.
Trade down?
Well, this is the thinking I'm guessing. Is you go, the team was so bad last year, it's just take the best available on the board. Anything would be an upgrade.
I genuinely, here's what I'm thinking. You have Mariota as your number one. Kyle Pitts, try to re-sign him.
Mm-hmm.
Trade down. Trade for draft picks next year. Next year, go in heavy.
That could work.
You could even trade for draft picks next year. Use Mariota next year for trade actual players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, use Mariota as a bridge quarterback, and hopefully,
yeah.
Because there's a big name guy next year at quarterback.
There's quite a few. I just can't. I mean, if JJ has a good year,
not the guy I was thinking of.
I
don't know. I can't remember. Either way, next up, and the reason that I was talking about, he probably wouldn't end up going, or Baker wouldn't end up going to Seattle, is because Seattle at number 9, through the trade with Denver, gets Malik Willis from Liberty.
There we go.
Which, it's a hit or miss move, with old man Carroll running the show. Yeah,
it's a miss.
But I don't know. And then number 10, the last one we'll talk about today, Drake London, wide receiver from USC to the Jets.
Okay.
Give Zach Wilson a little bit more receiving targets.
Yeah, I like that pick. I don't think they need a wide receiver, though. I think they need an offensive lineman really bad.
Well, they already got one.
Oh, really?
No, they got they got Thibodeau. They got defensive lineman.
When did they draft Thibodeau? 4. They should have gone for Evan Neal. Evan Neal hadn't gone, right?
He was the next pick.
Should have gone for Evan Neal.
I don't know. Saleh is a defensive coordinator. I think...
unless you can make an absolutely dominant defensive line, you are wasting Zach Wilson. He cannot go through another year of running for his life back there. If he does, then you're going to lose the office, because the office is going to be like, oh, you have a terrible quarterback. This was a bust. This is your fault. They're going to blame Zach Wilson not having a good year because of his offensive line on you. You're going to lose your job. You have to get an offensive lineman.
Yeah, Joe Flacco is on the...
That's funny. Who knows? Maybe Joe Flacco will step in.
They got a guard. They got a guard from 49ers. Lincoln Tomlinson.
That's actually a good player, I believe.
They got him. Free agent.
They need more though, and they need.
Well, they spent a lot of. They got Dan Freely, who was a free agent for this year, from the Jets.
They need a young guy though, a young guy with a lot of upside. If you compare a young guy with a lot of upside with one of those veterans, I think that's a solid move. I don't know. Thibodeau's projected to fall a lot, so who knows? Maybe you draft Neal, and then maybe Thibodeau falls to your 10th pick. It's a dangerous game to play, but I don't know of a lot of teams that would have drafted Thibodeau between that Neal pick.
I don't know.
I think you go for Neal first. I genuinely do.
Well, okay, so that's that's the top 10 of the draft. I know there's Titans fans out there. Let's see what the Titans, or if the Titans have anybody.
We are based in Tennessee.
Exactly.
I'm wearing a Stewart's Creek shirt. I'm wearing a Milligan hat.
On the 26th pick The Titans select Tyler Smith, an offensive lineman from Tulsa.
Okay. Yeah, I guess.
And then
okay. You need good offensive linemen for the running game.
Well, yeah, you're still beating. You're bashing it in with Derrick Henry. If Henry doesn't get injured again this year,
and he's not had great blocking. If they made an no.
Good catch.
That's better. If they had,
we need to get something different than this bed.
yes, we do. If they had an unstoppable offensive line, then they wouldn't run into the problem of it's predictable, blah 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 blah. If
you let Derrick Henry get to the second level, and he will run all over every safety and linebacker in the league.
There's no defensive back in the league that's going to be able to stop Derrick Henry. Jamal Adams is maybe, but that's just because he's a inside the box safety. It's kind of Bear Bryant had this quote. There were people who were complaining about him always running the triple option. They're like, it's predictable. Everyone knows what you're going to do. He says, it doesn't matter if they know what we're going to do. We're still going to beat them at it. If the Titans can just create a game where they run over someone, then it doesn't matter if you know what's going to happen. If Derrick Henry makes it to that second level, they're going to win.
Exactly.
Not to mention, you still have a capable field general of Tannehill. If you take the pressure off of him, he's not a bad quarterback. I genuinely believe that Tannehill is a decent quarterback. He can make throws. He can make scrambles. You get a good offensive line, it doesn't just work for the run. It also works for the passing game.
Exactly.
And you have good wide receivers like A.J. Brown, who are going to be...
A.J. Brown was... I think there was rumors that he was planning on leaving. He took the Titans...
There were rumors.
Well, he took the Titans' name out of his bio on Twitter. So that was heavily leaning towards him leaving.
Right.
But...
For now, you have A.J. Brown. He was rumored as one of the most likely to leave a team. He hasn't left, though. So I think he might still be a player on this team next year. So with A.J. Brown still there, I say they still have a solid team, a solid shot at, running through the AFC again. I will say their predictability hurt them a lot in their playoff run. When it gets to the crunch time, teams know what they're doing.
Yeah, because when the Titans made it to the AFC Championship game a couple years ago, a lot of that was thanks to Henry obviously ran for several 100-yard games in that stretch, but Tannehill also played remarkably well during that playoff stretch. He beat them through the air, too, not only on the ground. Yeah. So,
my one thing with this team is if you get to a fourth quarter with them and you're down, you're going to lose. Because they know you're going to throw the ball. You can't run the ball when you're down and you're running out of time. You can't run the ball. So if your team is built to run the ball, not built on the ability to throw, you don't know what to do anymore. They have an easy stop for you. The one thing that could help is that they just don't know how you would throw the ball. So, if we get to a close game in the AFC, especially in the playoffs, and the Titans are down in the fourth, it might be game over.
Could definitely be. Yeah, very much so. Okay, one last thing before we leave, because we're about an hour in. We'll talk about the NCAA.
Right. This is my strong suit. I don't know much about the USFL. Don't know much about the NBA, the MLB. I know enough about the NFL. But college football, I got you.
Okay, so this one's from 3 days ago. Updated way too early top 25 from ESPN. We'll just run down the list here.
Right. I'm going to pull that up on my phone as well.
Number 1, the Alabama Crimson Tide.
What a shocker.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I genuinely believe that, golly, I cannot pull it up. College football. Georgia should be the number one. I don't think Alabama should be. I think it's a little brash. I don't know if this is the right one because this is released from January.
Yeah, I just keep reading from here.
No, this is the right one.
Okay, yeah.
I know that you're saying that Georgia loses so much of their team to the draft, and Stetson Bennett may not be a big-name quarterback, and you lose JT Daniels. I don't care. It's Kirby Smart. No one thought that Georgia was going to be the number one team to crush Alabama and to do all these things. I think they should be number one, period. Until proven otherwise, Georgia is number one this year. Ohio State.
Yeah, they're number...
Georgia's number 3.
Yeah, so we'll skip that when we get to it. Number 2, Ohio State.
I understand. You should have put Ohio State at 3. In my top 3 for this year, I would have gone Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. They're unproven. They lose their 2 best wide receivers. You have C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud struggled when it mattered most. He did not have a very good Michigan game. Granted, he did not have a good offensive line in that game. They got destroyed on the trenches. But I don't know if you can do that. I understand if they're top 3. I'd be okay with putting them as number 3 in the league. I don't know if they're number 2, especially above that Georgia team.
Another thing about Ohio State is that Ohio State is implementing a new defensive scheme this year.
Right.
After last year and how terrible their defense was and literally basically sacking their coordinator 2 weeks into it and said, go up into the booth and don't talk the rest of the season. They're running a 4-2-5. The quote here from ESPN is that it's a, quote, safety-driven defense.
So this is Michigan's defense from a few years ago with Don Brown. You hope that they don't go as blitz-heavy as Don Brown did.
No way they're doing that. There's going to be a mix of pass. Or they're not going to do Don Brown 100% man with a billion blitzes.
Yeah.
But they are heavily relying on their safeties. It sounds like you're replacing Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson from the receiving core.
Right.
Tanner McAllister is the number 1 guy in their key additions. He's a safety. If it is a safety-heavy defense that relies on them, then look out for Mr. McAllister, hopefully, or maybe not hopefully, but he could make a good addition to that team. Number 4, surprisingly enough.
Hold up. I have one more thing. Well, no, it's okay. I forgot.
No, you already forgot it?
Yeah.
Okay, number 4.
No, I remembered. If you do a safety-intense team like that, you need to watch out for the run. It's going to be killer, especially if Michigan comes out with a run game nearly as intense as they did. It will dominate you. I will say Michigan does not have power running backs this year, not as much as they did last year with Hassan Haskins. It's more of a speed-based running back room. But they would kill you if they end up with a better offensive line, and especially with a big power back like that. So I don't know. I'd be a little nervous with that safety-driven. It's definitely gonna. That is a defense suited for SEC style football. They are trying to make a run for the playoffs. They are trying to build a defense for the playoffs.
Well, the thing that, and you have to realize this with Ohio State, is that it's going to be a cakewalk for them, for the most part.
Yeah.
Up until Michigan.
Yeah.
If they could beat Michigan with this defense that's designed for the SEC, then they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then they can use this defense that they've designed for the SEC against the SEC.
Right. And let's be honest here. There's a very good chance that both teams are going to go 11-0 or 10-1 or something like that up until the game. I know they used to call the Big Ten Big 2, Little 8, and I think that's very true nowadays. It's Michigan and Ohio State. Michigan State went 11-1, and they weren't even considered for being a team up there anymore. Or they went 10-2, excuse me. But still.
All right. Next, number 4, Utah Utes. They are the defending Pac-12 champions.
I think this is a terrible pick.
They're just reading this from the spring update. They're going to have to rebuild a defense that lost many of its top playmakers, including All-American linebacker Devin Lloyd, Branton, Lander Branton, or Barton.
I don't have the same one.
Coach Kyle Whittingham is their coach. I don't know real much about Utah, but I don't think that they're going to be a top 4 team.
No, no, definitely not.
Just because
Utah lets down.
Yeah. I mean, Utah usually had they went 10-4 last year, 8-1 in the Pac-12.
Right.
But
we don't know if they're going to win the Pac-12 this year.
USC,
Oregon, Washington. It's more competitive this year. There's a very good chance that no one from the Pac-12 is going to make it.
As is
Especially,
want. As is want.
Yeah. But here's the thing. USC has a stupid easy record. If USC goes...
Their schedule.
Excuse me. Super easy schedule. I don't know if Utah is in their schedule or not, but I don't think they are.
In the same division.
And Utah doesn't play Oregon either. So, if USC goes 10-2 and then they play, honestly, if they go 10-2 and then they go into the Pac-12 championship, and they either way, I think it's a loss for the Pac-12. They just, without USC they're gonna have no quality wins. If they pull off a win against Oregon or Utah, then that's going to destroy their reputation. But USC is going to have one quality win, maybe 2. And if they have 2 losses or something like that, they're not going to make the playoffs. If you have Utah make it all the way, and I don't think they have an easy schedule. I think there's a very good chance that they could lose heading into that game and beat USC. I don't know if they make it either. I think it's a lose-lose for the Pac-12. And historically speaking, the CFP does not prefer the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
I think they would...
I think the Pac-12's made it once or twice.
Once or twice, yeah. They made it with Washington.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe once with Oregon?
I don't think they've made it with Oregon. No, they made it the first year. Because that was the year Ohio State won, and they beat Oregon in the national championship.
Yeah.
So they made it twice. In the 6 or 7 years they've been doing the CFP.
Mm-hmm. Considering that the Big Ten has made it every year.
The SEC has made it every year.
And the Big 12 has made it several years.
Right.
And Notre Dame has made it twice.
Right.
Notre Dame as an independent has made it twice versus the Pac-12.
And now a G05 team has made it.
Mm-hmm.
Pac-12 is always being left out.
Yeah. And a lot of that could be because let's say the media is more based on the East Coast, or somewhat. Like ESPN is in Stamford, Connecticut.
Right.
A lot of that is
There's
East
more
Coast
people.
More people have the eyes on the East Coast games and East Coast teams.
There are more people east of the Mississippi River than west of the Mississippi River.
So,
I think if you have a team like USC, then maybe they would make it.
Well, USC is a blue blood,
right?
So
they're blue blood. They're LA.
The playoff committee will give them some definite bonus points for that. Anyway, we might want to start moving a little bit faster here. Number 5, Texas A&M. Main problem that Texas A&M is dealing with this year is replacing their quarterback.
Right.
So they have Max Johnson and Connor Wigham, who are competing for the starting job in Texas. Wegman? Maybe. So
Max Johnson's going to get it.
Yeah, he was the starter at LSU. He's most experienced. It does not make a lot of mistakes, according to this. A&M is going to finish behind both Georgia and Alabama easily. 83 years last time that the Aggies won the national championship. It's probably going to be a little while longer in the SEC West.
If they're going to win it with anyone, they're going to win it with Jimbo Fisher. But you have to beat Alabama and Georgia to win it all.
Because you have to beat Alabama in conference play to even get a shot at the
SEC
championship game. And then
you
you'll have to
play
beat
Georgia.
Yeah.
Do they play Georgia already that year as well?
Potentially they could play Georgia.
They could play those teams 5 times in total.
And
5 of their games could be Georgia. No, 4 of their games. 4 of their games could be Georgia and Alabama.
And then also you'll have to worry about in the next couple of years you'll have Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC. So
you're gonna have a renewed rivalry with Texas,
which I am looking forward to.
Me too.
But yeah, you're gonna have to face those teams too.
Yeah.
Which will make it even harder for Texas A&M.
So I don't think Texas A&M will even make it this far in the rankings. Realistically speaking, they may be
They'll have 2 losses.
Right.
Potentially.
They may be the 5th best team in the nation, but when we get to the time when they have 2 or 3 losses, they're not going to put them at number 5 in the nation.
No. Next up, number 6, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
I don't think they'll be this high. They lose way too much.
Well, you lost your coach. That's the most important thing. You lost Brian Kelly.
I would love it if Marcus Freeman becomes an amazing coach. We don't know.
It's his first time coaching, head coaching. It's like we were talking about with Kirby Wilson earlier in the USFL talk. It's going to take a little bit of time for Freeman to find his feet.
Right. You lose an amazing safety who you've built your team around the past few years, in Kyle Hamilton. You lose your quarterback in Jack Cohn, and some may say that's actually a good thing, but
you don't have a guy who's ready to step up into the place of Jack Cohn. You don't have a high, or at least in this key addition section, they don't even list a quarterback. So it's not like they've gone out and gotten a 4 or 5 star to replace Cohn.
I just don't think that you have, unless they get immediate step-ins from players, unless people immediately rise to the occasion, this team's not going to be good. Borderline top 10, top 15. I don't think I'd put them at number 6.
Okay, this is the weirdest thing in this mock draft.
I have seen this before.
Number 8, NC State.
Number 7.
Number 7, NC State. Which is weird because they're even... Do you guys watch any sports? Yeah, we watch sports all the time.
Shut up.
It's weird to have NC State higher than Clemson. But I don't know. Many stars coming back. They went 6-2 in the ACC last year.
Mm-hmm. The only reason
9-3.
I think they make it this far is just because there's no one in the ACC, so they'll have an easy path. If Clemson sucks again, then they'll beat Clemson. They'll have a quality win. Pitt's gonna suck again, so they'll have a quality win. They might go 11-1, 12-0, but they'd get killed.
Devin Leary is their quarterback.
They have MJ Morris coming in.
Devin Leary says down here, he threw for 355 yards and 3 scores in the spring game, which it is a spring game, but he looks like he's a good quarterback.
Right.
So, potentially, maybe somebody to watch to the draft next year. Number 8, Michigan State. The Michigan State Spartans.
I can see this.
It makes sense.
See this.
As much as we made fun of their hire, who's the coach's name already? I can't remember.
Mel Tucker.
Oh yeah. As much as we clowned on Mel Tucker as the head coach of Michigan State,
I don't think he's that good. I still don't think he's that good.
Well, the results on the field were 11-2. Beating
I think this is the biggest fluke season though.
I don't know.
I do think. Their team is built off of transfers. They lose these transfers.
But they went 11-2. That helps. That has to help in their recruiting.
Yeah. So carried by Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is an amazing running back. I think he should go very high in the draft. I love Kenneth Walker. I hate him as a Michigan State player, but I think Kenneth Walker is a phenomenal player, if I had to choose a running back to choose a Heisman that got snubbed.
Well, they're also still going for transfers too.
It
says here that they got Wyndham, what's his name, Jacoby Wyndham, and Aaron Brule from Mississippi State to start at linebacker during the spring game. So if they're bringing in quality guys like they did last year, if Mel Tucker hits on his transfers this year like he did last year, it could potentially work out. Yeah. Number 9 are Michigan Wolverines.
Wow, they put Michigan State above Michigan. That's kind of funny.
It makes sense, though, because Michigan loses a lot of their defense. It loses both David Ojabo, Joe Jabo, and Aiden Hutchinson.
Right.
You lose Josh Ross, Brad Hawkins,
Vincent Gray,
Dax Hill.
That is a tough defense to replace.
Oh, yeah, you lose a lot of your defense. And you also lose your main running back in Hashan Haskins. Yeah, I know my voice is bad. You lose a couple of your offensive linemen, and Andrew Vistardis and Stuber. Right. So, and it was a decent recruiting class this year, I believe. But,
very good, actually.
But still, they're freshmen. How much are they going to be able to contribute? How much are the backup players are going to be able to? I think that Michigan State is in probably a better position on paper than Michigan at the moment, and which would help them in their rankings there.
Right.
Anyway,
I won't say much because I'm biased, but I think we'll do better.
Yeah, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about Michigan. Number 10, Oklahoma State.
I actually like this. Oklahoma State's going to have a good team this year.
12-2 last year, 8-1 in the conference.
Yeah.
Coming off one of the best seasons in school history, the Cowboys replaced many of their key players. Jim Knowles was their defensive coordinator. He transformed them into one of the best defensive units in all of college football last year.
He's gone now.
Oh yeah, he's at Ohio State now.
Yeah.
Oops.
But
they got Derek Mason.
Right.
So Derek Mason is a good coordinator.
He is.
So
he is.
You could do that. Anyway,
with Mike Gundy and Derek Mason working together, that is I love that coaching staff. I think that is a very memeable coaching staff at least. But they're both very passionate people. I think those are some of the most passionate people you will find in college football. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Number 11?
Yep.
Number 11, Clemson Tigers. Clemson down here 10-3, 6-2 in the ACC, and a weak ACC generally.
Very weak.
But they have new coordinators. They got both a new offensive and defensive coordinator because both of them, or at least Venables left.
Venables is gone, and they fired the other one.
Yeah. So hopefully that helps Dabo out.
Yeah. I will really wonder what they're gonna do with this quarterback situation because you have DJ, you also have Klubnik who's coming in, and Klubnik is one of the best quarterbacks we've seen coming out of high school in a while.
But DJ Ukalalia?
Just say DJ. DJ. Don't go for it.
DJ. It says here he shed 25 pounds in the off season.
Right.
He got into game weight there. And just looking at him just for a second, he's a sophomore this year. Yeah. So he's still got room to develop, especially if you have a better offensive coordinator.
And we've seen a good DJ before. And this is a guy who, coming out of high school, was also one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in a while.
So it definitely could be a starting quarterback battle here.
Yeah.
But
I think you give it to DJ right now.
I think, you lean towards the guy with some experience. He didn't potentially...
He played awful. Let's not cut any corners. He played awful.
But he at least has a year of starting under his belt. Mm-hmm. He still led him to 10 wins.
Yeah.
He got in better shape, and he's going to have a new coordinator that can help him out. So
we've seen him play good at the college level before. We saw him play good against one of the best teams out there. I can't remember who it was, but Trevor Lawrence went out for a game, and it was a huge game, and they had DJ come in, and DJ played amazing.
I forgot about the COVID shirt.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you never know. He shouldn't hopefully be better. Number 12, freshly
USC Trojans.
as a fan of Blue Bloods, as a fan of historic Blue Bloods who haven't done well in the last couple of years, we both have kind of a soft spot for USC, I think, especially with Lincoln Riley as their head coach.
I do think it's a tough situation with everything going on.
They went 4-8 last year.
Yeah.
As we already described,
this is just
this is year one.
The USC Sooners.
Yeah, pretty much. And this is year one of what's going to be a rebuild.
Yeah. And they are going to get some killer recruits. They could go 6-6 this year, and they would get amazing recruits still.
Because you're in LA.
Right.
You're in LA.
LA has gotten amazing recruits with terrible teams for a long time now.
Yeah, exactly. And now you have Lincoln Riley, who's a good head coach, a great head coach.
Is the NIL working for you as well?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, LA is the place to be for the NIL.
Yeah, and you have a long history. You've got great state. You play in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, on a weekly basis, you play in the Rose Bowl. I think you can sell kids on USC easy. And I think Lincoln Riley's got to do that. Watch for the USC turnaround. It's happening. You heard that here first.
Yeah. And I will say, to get the fan, they had a terrible attendance for the spring game. But you have to start winning before you get LA involved. That's
LA.
just how it works.
Because I'm surprised that even...
If they win the first 6 games, they beat Notre Dame in the first half of their season, they will start filling the stadium.
It's weird because all sports leagues want to have an LA market team, and a lot of them have 2.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense.
The Clippers and the Lakers sharing a stadium.
But it doesn't make sense because
or an arena.
Because LA has a hard time supporting even a winning team on the occasion. It makes sense. LA is the second biggest city in America. The logic there is sound that they should be able to get people to show up to games. But LA isn't a real big sports town.
No, it's not. New York is.
New York you can have probably like 2
you can have 3 hypothetically.
There was in the past they did in major leagues. In the Major League Baseball before the 50s.
The New York Giants.
You had 3. You had the Yankees,
right, New York Giants,
the Giants, and the Dodgers.
The Dodgers. Yeah, that's right. The Dodgers were there too.
Yeah, you had 3 Major League Baseball teams in New York, and that was a smaller population too. New York is a sports town.
Yeah.
But LA is not a sports town unless the team is winning. It's an entertainment
this
capital.
Could be a really big rebranding of LA. I'm not gonna lie. If USC begins and builds a program out of this, then LA could build into a big sports team. Town. Excuse me. They don't have dominant teams. They've never had dominant teams.
Not in a long time.
Yeah.
Because the Dodgers won the World Series last year. Or in 2020.
But it's MLB.
Yeah, I mean...
People in LA just don't care about baseball.
They did at one point, but...
They don't now.
Not really, but the problem is now
never as much
it's
as
the
New
social
York.
media culture, it's the entertainment value.
Yeah.
LA's the entertainment capital of the world, and the only time LA fans are entertained is when the team's winning.
Yeah.
They don't care about the sport itself, they care about being seen at the sporting game with a winning team. But, anyway.
Still got 2 viewers out there.
Houston, number 13. The first ACC, or I guess...
We'll go to top 15.
Top 15, yeah, it'll be fine. So Houston at 13.
Okay.
Houston pick.
I don't have much to say about that.
Dana
We're going to
Holgerson.
the Big 12 soon.
Yeah, I think it's a good pickup for the Big 12.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you lose your 2 big players in Oklahoma and Texas.
Right.
You lose at the moment... Those are the Big 12,
right?
Or is Oklahoma and Texas?
Yeah.
But Houston, Dana Holgerson.
Right. If you have Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF, you might be able to just have a good enough. And
you might stay at still be a Power 5 conference.
Right.
At that point,
you need to play into UCF, Cincinnati, BYU, and
in Houston.
You need to play into that. Mm-hmm. You're a gimmick conference now, but you just have to deal with it. You were a gimmick conference in the past, so now you just have to play into it even more.
Yeah, it's rough. We talked about it before. I don't like to see the breakup of the Big 12. I don't like seeing all these... I don't like seeing...
Like the SEC
Oklahoma and Texas don't belong in the SEC.
No.
It's about creating a dominant TV schedule. It's about creating a dominant league where you have all of the blue bloods all together. Even though Vanderbilt's in
Michigan
there.
and Ohio State.
Exactly.
And
I mean, they were even discussing that at some point.
They were.
But
add Clemson and Florida State.
It's like something that I would do in like NCAA football. Yeah. It's like just put the top 20 in one division or one league. But I don't like it. As a college football traditionalist, I don't like it. It's never going back, but I think it's silly.
Yeah.
Anyway, but good on Houston. Houston ends up getting a Big 12 contract out of it. They're going to get a lot more money too.
Yeah.
Same with BYU, UCF, and Cincinnati. So, number 14, Oklahoma Sooners.
Brett Venables is going to have to make some big differences. What's their quarterback situation now?
They lost Caleb Williams.
Right.
They also
lost Spencer Rattler.
No, they got Dylan Gabriel from UCF.
Okay. That's actually I like that pickup.
8,000 yards and 70 touchdowns in 3 seasons at UCF.
No,
so,
I'd take that if I were them.
Mm-hmm. They also got a Colden. Who's that guy?
And he played very well in his spring game. Keep that in mind.
They also got a transfer in from Wyoming, C.J. Colden, who's a cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
Venables, corner, yeah. Venables, again, it's the same. We talked about it before already with Notre Dame. It's going to be a little bit of a transition. It's going to take Venables some time to find his footing as a head coach.
Yep.
I think Venables has a better shot at it, though.
Yeah.
Venables, I think he was a head coach even before he was.
He has been, but he did not do very well.
But that was 10 years ago.
Right.
And he's had a long time under Dabo at Clemson. Yeah. He's an older guy. He's more experienced. It's going to take him a little bit at a time. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
First couple of games are going to be kind of iffy, probably. Yeah. But in time, I think Venables has a great shot at being a great coach.
They just need to coast for these next few years and then try to go all out when they make the SEC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's going to hurt them. They're going to be playing tougher opponents. But hypothetically, it should help them with recruiting.
Yeah.
It should help them with finances. They get, potentially, help. It should help. It's going to be rough. It's going to be weird. We'll get there when we get there. Yeah. Last one we'll talk about. Number 15, the owners of the super weapon, the Pitt Panthers.
Pitt's gonna suck this year.
Yeah, we're post Kenny Pickett, but
the one thing about Pitt that was really good was Kenny Pickett, and Kenny Pickett is gone. I'll take it back a little bit.
They returned 8 starters on offense and 7 starters on defense.
Right.
And this is a team that went 11-3 and 7-1 in the ACC. Does all of that thanks to Kenny Pickett?
I'd say most of it.
And let's see. They got okay, so they brought back their offense coordinator for the 3rd time, Frank Cagnetti Jr. Let's see. And they have a transfer. Oh, it's a transfer from USC. Kendon Slovis.
Slovis is a mid-level quarterback.
8,000 yards and nearly a little bit under 8,000 yards and a little bit under 60 touchdowns in 27 games.
He's a veteran. He's a
at
veteran.
USC. And this is at a USC team that went 4-8 last year, remind you. This is a team that didn't have as much talent, potentially.
If they can build around Slovis, then they have a shot in the ACC because the ACC is so bad. They will get smoked by any good team out there. But since they are in the ACC, they could get by 8-4, 9-3, 10-2. I understand them being at 15. I would not go past 15. I think they might fluctuate. They might end up in the top 10 at some point this year, but they're not going to end the year top 10.
Well, excuse me. I guess with that, we will end the show.
Yeah. Ask Ask Grant and Ben. We'll fix it one of these days.
Ask Grant and Ben. We will
free agency signing.
Yeah,
keep this in mind. You need to send in your free agency signings.
Or free agent pitches.
Yes. Why should I? Maybe Abel. I might go. For the second week, probably I will go. But probably not the first week. No. Do it for a good team, please. But yes, send in your free agency signings. What are you spelling?
Jets.
Ooh, I am offering to be a fan of the Lions for the next decade. But the Trojans are. We're talking about the NFL, Abel, not USC.
We already got a college team, but we like USC.
Switching.
Do like USC though, so, but
yeah. Rams. Okay.
Well, then send it. What's your pitch?
All right.
It's at
send an email.
Ask Grant and Ben at
Grant
Gmail.
and Ben. It is wrong up there.
Yes,
do not do
Grant
Ben and
Ben.
Gran. Do not do Ben and Gran.
Say why Granville should be a Rams fan,
Yeah.
or why not, or why he should.
Why I shouldn't be a Browns fan. Why I should be a Rams fan.
Whatever.
Why I shouldn't be a
Give
Lions
your opinions.
fan.
Email.
Maybe you could come in from the midnight hour, even if Aiden Hutchinson gets drafted. Maybe you could just make that great of a. Well, he just said it. Browns suck.
No, they don't.
Hey, you're part of the Ben club, aren't you?
Yeah. I thought you were Team Ben.
Yeah, you were the president of
Team Ben.
Yeah.
I can't even do that. TB 12.
Don't compare yourself to the greatness.
Either way, yeah. So if you all watching either live or hopefully on the YouTube video, email askgrantandben@gmail.com.
This has been a SportsCast.
This has been one of those sportscasts that you hear about every now and again.
Yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed the new intro.
It's very nice. I liked it a lot. It's a lot of fun making it too.
Put a little bit too much effort into it.
Ben, hats off to Ben, really. I won't take my hat all the way off because I'm gross. But Ben did all the work on it, truly speaking. We did the recording together, but he did all the editing. So good job to Ben.
It's on
you
YouTube.
Can come back.
The intro itself is separate on YouTube. It's currently on the SportsCast with Ben and Grand.
Or you can just rewatch the episode if you're so interested in our enticing voices and our very factual opinions. But we have an intro now. SportsCast with Ben and Gran is our YouTube. We should really put a link or a.
We should do that in the description of the Twitch. But let me double check that real quick. It's the SportsCast with Ben and Gran on YouTube.
Yeah.
It should actually. Let me do this real quick. I can just stream my videos.
What you doing?
I'm copying the link and I'm gonna post it. In the group chat or in the Twitch chat.
We do not have a Twitter right now.
We do. We don't really have.
I'm planning on making an Instagram. We should get an Instagram. We do not have a Twitter. I don't really use Twitter. Do you use Twitter?
I look at it, but I don't watch it.
I don't think we'd be very good at Twitter. I use Instagram way too much.
There it is.
Noise in General which is the channel, has posted the link in the chat.
It should be down there.
Right.
So, and if y'all are watching on the VOD, hopefully you've already seen the video, or the intro. But if you just look at the YouTube channel.
Bush League. We don't expect people to come back and watch these.
No. But
especially if you made it. Listen to me. If you have made it all the way through the VOD and you are watching this right now,
comment down below. Secret code for the VOD. Wilson?
Yeah, that was the first word I saw.
Okay.
I love you. Look me in the eyes. Look me in the eyes when I say this. I love you. And this is where you say, I know. Be Han Solo. Yes.
Comment.
Abel, you were right, Wilson.
Yeah, include the word Wilson in the comment.
Yeah.
In the comment section. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But include the word Wilson in your comment, or try to sneak it into your email to us.
Oh yeah, no, do that. That'd be cool.
Also, remember, follow us here on Twitch. Subscribe on YouTube in case you missed Twitch.
Hopefully, we'll get an Instagram soon.
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter if we ever make one. Hopefully, we could try to start streaming other things.
Yeah, I think if we genuinely got people to watch this, I think it'd be fun to play
a way
games
to even get more people to watch is do more regular streams and then come back later on for the SportsCast. It's on Twitch.
Right.
We do NCAA or something.
Right. Yeah.
And then.
Right.
And then you say, hey, come back on Sunday where we'll be talking sports.
Oh, because I'd crush him in a Madden 1v1. But we can, yeah. We should.
Yeah, you would crush me. But we'll just do
we
something.
could do a dynasty together, Ben. We could do a dynasty. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be kind of neat.
Who could we rebuild?
Send
us an email of what teams we should rebuild in NCAA 14.
Yeah, send us an email or whatever. Leave it in the comments if you're on YouTube.
Yeah.
So let's go through our call to actions here real quick before we end up. So subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah.
Follow us on Twitch. Or subscribe on Twitch. I don't know.
Right.
If you have the money.
No.
Comment. Comment on the YouTube video.
We don't ask for subscribers on Twitch. It's okay.
Yeah. But comment with Wilson on the YouTube video. Next week after the draft, if Aiden Hutchinson doesn't get drafted, even if Aiden Hutchinson gets drafted, if you make a good enough pitch, email at Gran and Ben for try to get Granville to become a part of your team's NFL fan base.
Yep.
Is that all they call the actions? Come back next week, 7:30 p.m. Central Time.
Yep.
On Twitch, SportsCast, you'll get to see the intro again. I'm sure you'll love it.
It's gonna be great.
I
think it'll be May 1st.
It will be
May 2nd.
Yeah, something like that. 30 days, September, April, June.
May 1st. Here, just click on it.
Yeah, we'll just look at it. That'd be a little easier before we start
freaking out.
Yeah. Yep, May 1st. All right, come back May 1st, 7:30. We will discuss NFL draft. We will discuss USFL Week 4, Week 3.
Week 3. We'll get it right one day.
Eventually.
Maybe it will increase. The goal, me and Ben were talking, is we're gonna slowly increase in quality. We sucked at the very beginning. Oh my gosh, it was abysmal. Slowly got better and better.
We still kind of suck.
We still definitely suck.
We need to. Well, after the show, Stewart's Creek is kind of bad. Yes.
At football, yeah, you're definitely right.
But really at everything, but.
Most things.
Well,
not athletic or not academic related though.
But we'll discuss that some other time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
This has been SportsCast.
This has been the SportsCast with Ben and Grant.
April 24th edition.
April 24th. That is up there.
Not 17th.
We'll come back and fix that hopefully at some point.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you all for watching. Have a good night. Thank you, Abel.
Appreciate it, Abel. You can be wrong and happy. That's okay. That works for me. Bye.
Bye.